Hey,
Welcome to Heart in a Fight. My name is Daniel. This is my co-host Tunde. As always, before we jump into the show, I want to remind you to like this video, follow our Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and certainly subscribe to the YouTube channel to get access to future content. It's important to note that all the content doesn't hit all platforms. So this isn't a copy and paste operation, right? And so some content is exclusive to a platform. There are videos we put on Facebook, on the Facebook page, that don't necessarily make it to the YouTube channel, and vice versa. For example, we had an event last night on Twitch where popular Streetbeefs fighters debated on the top 5 anime protagonists that didn't actually stream any other place. So Tunde, please tell the folks what they missed last night.
so if you were not in attendance, first and foremost, I want to pause. Why are you not following our Twitch page? Why are you not following our YouTube page, Facebook? You on our IG? You following our Instagram? Because you missed out. It was a very crazy night. And so we're used to seeing street beef fighters. Let me paint the picture for you. Let me take you there. You're used to seeing street beef fighters fight with their fist. Last night, we had them fight with their mind and their words. And so we put some prominent street beef fighters from the West Coast. We had Shinigami. We had Darkness. From the East Coast, we had Scarecrow. We had King Mamba, who is now Black Mamba. We were supposed to have Baby Hulk. He wasn't able to come through, but he definitely submitted his list and was down to participate. We had all of them people sitting online debating who is the best top 5 anime protagonists of all time. Come on. And I know y'all got y'all list. We heard Naruto, we heard Goku. Yeah, that's normal. But then we had some people coming through with some really obscure anime. And, you know, somebody was victorious. And I'll leave it at that. But if you're not following our Twitch, you're not going to catch it. So what you doing?
And can you tell them who was? I know that there was a number of Streetbeefs fighters in the crowd who were willing, who were chopping at the bit to get into the debate, right? And so go ahead, tell them.
We had Fiji from West Coast. We had Savage Island. But again, I said Baby Hawk, he wasn't able to attend, but he wanted to be there as well. We have so many Street Beef fighters, and we're going to have so many more in the coming days when we do this again.
So what's the follow-up? So what happens after that? So now that we have a round champion, what happens next?
Shout out to Bushido. Was good. Tiny Tank, I see you in the chat as well. So the way that we have this format set up is the first person to win 3 consecutive shows. Hard in the Fight is going to put together a care package for you. I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to give too much away. But the champion who wins 3 consecutive shows is going to win some material. And so the way we got to set up now, we have the first show yesterday. 2 weeks from now, we're going to have our second show. And then 2 weeks from then, we'll have our third show. The next show, the champion of this show will fight whoever wins in the next show. And then at the third show, it'll be the same thing. And so you don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss this opportunity. And the cool thing about it is you at home decide who the victor is. So after the 2 fighters debate, we throw a poll in the chat. And y'all get to choose who use their words the best. And so, yeah, I can't stress enough. We need y'all to follow the Twitch so you can be a part of the conversation.
Awesome. And so that's why it's really important to subscribe and follow to all our platforms to have access to all this exclusive content. And so that you certainly want to know who won last night's debate, and so that you can follow their trajectory on whether or not they're going to be able to beat the other champions that come on, right? And so not only that, right, we were also, for those who caught some of the content that we released last week, we were also at Streetbeefs West Coast 6. And so we have a street team. So it's not just Omar, me, and Tunde, but we have a street team, right, who go out to events, record some behind the scenes, but also do some post-fight and pre-fight interviews. And so now, right, with that content, we're planning to release it, right, so that you can see, so that it gives you that kind of major event feel, right? And so certainly follow the content, follow our platforms, because we're going to be releasing bit by bit so that you can capture the entire event in its entirety, but also see what fighters had to say before and after the fight. Right, because that's really important to understand what is a fighter's journey, especially if they had a banger, especially if they had to push themselves. And so it's always good to get their input right after a fight. So you don't want to miss that. All right. So today we are here because we have a press conference for Street Beefs that will be taking place on March 6th, where the Westcoast Heavyweight Superstar and Champion Shinigami will meet probably the most positive beast from the East, Big Smile, at the OG Yard. But before we jump into that action, I think it's really important to understand that not only is that fight happening, but we also have the lightweight tournament for Reckless Rico's belt. And I think that's really important, right? You start to see, because that's actually the way he won the title. And to see this replicated again gives opportunity for all fighters who are in that weight division to go and seize that belt. And you see it across all branches. That's why, that's why it's really important for you to also follow all the other branches, because you're starting to see this all play out. I know that Scrapyard had an event yesterday, and they're also having kind of a tournament bracket. And it's really exciting because you get to see how fighters get to the belt. You get to see their journey. And it's not like they're having it all in one day. Certainly there's a number of fights in the day, but you get to see them fight from one event to the next, right? Especially when these events are happening every month. And so it gives you an opportunity to learn about these fighters. And, what we like to do is to ensure that we are providing a platform to, one, be able to interview these fighters, but also tell their stories. And so when you look at a champion, or when you see a champion, you get to know who they are, right? Not just the shiny belt itself, but you get to know who they are as a person. You get to know some of the challenges that they face, but also you get to become a lifelong fan and a supporter, especially if they make it to the pros. They go to the next level, you get to be there watching them grow and supporting them on, right? Because once you make it to the pros, if you just sign a contract, that isn't it, right? The journey doesn't stop there.
Just start your journey. Exactly.
Right? It's still the beginning of the journey. They just had transitioned away from Street Beefs. But now, right? Now, they're representing Street Beefs on a professional level. They're representing us all on a professional level. So that's why it's really important to subscribe to those champions and all the fighters in these different branches, because they're a reflection of who we are. They represent us. And so it's always important, right, to be involved, to participate, and tell the story, right? Tell the story of Street Beefs, tell your story, and tell their story. So with that, we were going to bring up the two champions that we're speaking about here, right? And so before we bring them on, we created a special promo for the matchup, but understand, they really don't need a promo. I think the name, the reputation itself, right, sells the fight. But we decided, let's just do a pre-fight interview. Let's get their thoughts on this. Let's see what they have to say about each other, and then bring them on to have a discussion, right? Are they going to be able to live up to those words? I'm not saying they make any promises here, but they're certainly very confident of the outcome. And so here's an opportunity to see if they can live up to it. So with that, Tunde, let's play this video.
It's an absolute honor to get to go to the original main branch yard. It's actually been a dream of mine since I started watching Street Beefs to go over there and fight. So I'm super excited. I am super excited.
I've been trying to get tough opponents, especially with winning records. He's a super heavyweight that's 4-0 in the yard. Before I'd ever even joined Street Beefs, one of my goals was to fight Shinigami.
like I'm a humble guy and everything, but when it comes to competition, nobody can beat me until they prove they can beat me, which hasn't happened yet.
Being a martial artist, I wanted to test myself, and I believe I could pass that test, with flying colors. So that's really what it's about. It's all respect. He's a good fighter, but I think I'm the best. Anytime I step in a ring, that's my house, that's my ring, and it doesn't matter if it's somebody else's home field. Once I step in there, that's my ring and my house, and nobody robs me in my house. I think it's a bold move for him to come out here and take me as his first fight in the OG yard, and good on him.
Oh, put me on now, guys.
We are on. I just want to make sure. Did the video freeze on your end, or it just froze on my end? There you go, big smile.
There might have been a tiny glitch, but it looks great now.
Okay, awesome. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to your face-off before your major fight. And so before we have y'all kind of talk to each other, I have a few questions that I have for each individual person. So let me start off with you, Shinigami. It seems like the head kick heard around the world continues to grow. Like that video continues to resurface. It went viral not only once, but it went viral multiple times. And it seems like it's going viral once again. And so how do you feel about that? Like, it seems like no matter how many fights you're going to have after that video going to continue to come back. So how do you feel about that?
It's crazy. It's wild, but I'm not going to complain. I mean, it's awesome. I showed up. Everything was a perfect storm. I landed the kick. Dude went out, and all of a sudden, it's like going triple platinum. I think it's just better every time.
Yeah, it certainly seems like there's a residual effect to this, right? It just continues to add more things to your legend, continues to add more things to the fight. And so I'm curious, as someone like yourself, right, who is getting all this attention because of this fight, and you're being highlighted on a number of different large networks, and they're having you on. I would imagine someone in your position who's getting all the spotlight, right, would not want, at this point, you can just kind of sit on your laurels and say, you know what, like, I got all the recognition I need. I don't need any tough fights. And so what makes you want to fight Big Smile? I mean, he is a tough fight. If you look at all his fights, he makes it really tough on any opponent. And so for yourself, who's kind of sitting at the apex, what gives you any kind of inspiration to want to have this kind of challenge?
I'm not at the apex. This is me getting started. And like Big Smile himself said, as a martial artist, it's about always challenging yourself by facing the toughest challenge you can find. So this is definitely that next level that I need to push myself through.
Awesome. Big Smile. Big Smile. You say you are the best, right? You respect. I mean, it's clear in the video you said you respect his skill. You said that even before you got to Street Beefs, you watched Shinigami, and you've always had it in your mind that you were going to fight him, right? And so how do you feel now that the opportunity has come? All right, we're at this place where you're actually about to fight him.
It's very surreal, It's wild how quickly things can happen when you believe it's possible. So it's huge. He talked about watching Street Beefs, thinking he could do great out there, then doing it. It's a very similar thing on my end. And like I said, he was even one of the fighters I watched. It was really cool. And, now we're about to fight. I couldn't be happier about it. It's awesome. And, you mentioned him going viral a bunch. That's great for me as well, right? That's great for anyone involved. So every time he goes viral, I give a smile for that too. That's awesome.
Awesome. And so Big Smile, he said whenever Shinigami, I mean, this is the competitor's mindset, right? He said whatever yard he goes to, whatever cage he steps in, that's his, right? And so the OG yard is pretty much like your home. And so when he steps in your ring, he's saying that is his home. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I like that. I like that mindset. Whenever I fight anyone, I look at them, and of course, it's all respect before the fight. Y'all know that about me. But once that cage door closes, I find it disrespectful that you think you belong in there with me. It's nothing personal against Shinny, against anyone I fight. It's just a switch that clicks. Like, oh, they want to get locked in here with me. Okay, sounds like a great time. You know what I'm saying? I love it. I like that mindset. I want to have to take something from him. You know what I mean? I don't want somebody that's going to roll over. Let's have a dogfight. Let's go.
And can you tell me what the temperature is like? Because I know the Shinigami lives in California, where it's pretty bright and sunny. And so what is the actual weather like in Virginia right now? Because I know that that's going to play a huge part in this fight as well, right?
So it varies a lot. I'm going to be honest. I live in Fairfax, Virginia. You know, not too bad out here right now. Maybe a little bit below 50. But I just got back from the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, where it was 30. And, you know, Streetbeefs is a little bit up in the mountains too. So I think it's probably somewhere in between that, 40. But, you know, we had some 60-degree days last week. So you're going to have to keep a close eye on it. It can change a lot. The ground will be cold. I could tell you that. The ground will probably be cold since it's, you know, been cold.
So Shinigami, how do you plan to deal with those elements? I mean, I know you have an extensive fight history, but in that weather?
So I'm gonna tell you a little story about one of the times it snows every 10 years here. My thing, as soon as it was snowing, once the snow started to build up, man, I put my gi on and I went out front and started doing katas for like an hour. So you know, I'm in the desert, and the high desert is a variable weather area too. It can be, in fact, every day this week it's been warm during the day, and then as soon as it gets dark, it's like 30 degrees, 26 degrees. So I think I can handle it. I walk around barefoot all the time out here. I mean, I prefer to be barefoot anyway, either in the gym or at home. I don't like wearing socks and shoes. It's actually, I'm so used to doing it from training so much that I actually feel uncomfortable in socks and shoes. So I think I got this.
I know that Scarface is certainly, and the team has done a really good job of trying to make the ground less slippery. And I know that they've added a number of things to the ground. And so Big Smile, like fighting in that, did it make a difference? Like how, like what did help us understand with fighting with that, with the material on the ground, does that help you as a fighter? Does that help you as a wrestler? And then, yeah, what are the benefits?
So they've made a couple changes since I fought last in January. You know, it was a little slick that day, but you know, it's something you train for. Like Shinigami said, I shadow box in the backyard all the time. If it's raining, I go outside and shadow box, get used to that slipperiness, because, you know, they can do so much, but sometimes it'll still be slippery. You know, I was up in the mountains, you know, I was barefoot out in the snow, shirtless, you know. You gotta get used to it. You gotta get used to the cold. It's great for you. So it's a mental game too. But yeah, it feels great. I think it's something that makes Street Beefs unique and is very real. You never know what type of situation you're gonna get into, whether it's the grass, a locker room. You know, it's just very real to have the elements involved as well. So I think it's cool. I think it's unique. And I honestly don't know exactly what to expect. I know I've been through it before, but in terms of like the ground, how it's going to feel that specific day, who knows? Only God knows for sure. I'll tell you that.
Word. It's a Shinigami. How many days are you going to be there beforehand? Are you going to be able to get used to the environment, or is this going to be like as soon as you land, you go fight and you come back?
Oh no. I was gonna show up the day before, but my ride to the airport wanted me to get a flight out of Burbank instead of LAX, and all those flights left in the afternoon and don't get there till like 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm actually leaving 2 days before, and I'll be there for more than 24 hours before. I don't know if I'm gonna get to test the ground, but I'll definitely be acclimating to the weather and the time difference and all of that stuff for a day before the fight.
Awesome.
And then I'm gonna stick around a little afterwards so I can hang out with Scarface and the guys and go to neutral corner or wherever they train at and get a session in with the Iraqi Assassin and Scarface and Bestaban and just all the OG guys that I've been watching for years.
And so Shinigami, this has been an interesting debate because I've actually seen this, right? And so in one regard, you're seen as this karate guy, right? The guy with the stand-up skills and big smile is seen as this jiu-jitsu kind of wrestler, on the ground fighter. However, you've been training jiu-jitsu for a very long time, right? And so can you tell us, I mean, are you a blue belt with stripes? Is that right?
Yes, sir. Blue belt, 3 stripes.
And what about you, Big Smile?
I'm a blue belt. I don't think I've ever gotten any stripes. I never got any stripes on my white belt either. You know, I just show up, tap out all different color belts, and go home. So it's all good. I don't worry about the stripes. But
One of those schools that don't give out stripes.
Yeah, we keep it pretty old school, a little raw, but it's fun. It's a good time.
Wait, what did the stripes and what do they mean?
It's just another little layer of progression because there's only 5 belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, at least for the adults. So you're at that belt level for X amount of time, and it's just, you know, a little indicator that you've made some progress within that rank towards the next one. So that, especially because most Jiu-Jitsu schools don't have a set curriculum, it's based on your individual progression and, you know, for yourself and your body type and everything else and your skill level versus because you learn all kinds of different stuff every week. You know, so aside from like week 1 where you're learning basic, you know, scissor sweep from guard, bridge escape from mount, you know, basic submissions like the armbar from the mount, armbar from the guard, you know, after that, it's just whatever the professor is teaching that week. That's what you're learning. So, you know, that's how you advance. And the stripes just symbolize that they're acknowledging where you're at and how close you are to that next belt. And it's 4 stripes per belt in jiu-jitsu.
So technically, right, if we just look at it from a technical aspect here, you should be better on the ground than Big Smile.
Technically, but then again, like he said, he trains at a school where they don't even do the stripes, so he could be worth 1 more stripe than me for all anyone knows, but we'll find out when we get in that cage.
And so what also stands out to me as Big Smile is that you also, it seems like you have some kind of wrestling base. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, I have a pretty high-level wrestling background.
And so can you describe to the audience what is your experience with wrestling, but also what is your experience with jiu-jitsu as well?
So wrestling, you know, I started in high school, but I was always like a pretty elite level athlete for my size, you know, just pretty athletic. So, you know, I got 107 wins, 30 losses, took 3rd in the state, you know, 2-time district champ. And then I went to college for wrestling. Turns out school wasn't really my thing. You know, couldn't really keep up with the grades, the wrestling. I was pretty immature at the time. So I wrestled in college, you know, a couple months. And then, you know, shortly after I left college, you know, just working, I had quite a chip on my shoulder for that not going well. And that's kind of where I picked up jiu-jitsu. And that's kind of why, like, my grappling is a lot more aggressive than a lot of other grappling. I still kind of have a chip on my shoulder. I have something to prove. So, yeah. And then I started jiu-jitsu after that. Probably been training jiu-jitsu 4 years, 5 years, and MMA a little over a year now. So, yeah. But I've been visualizing MMA ever since I was a young man. It was my dream. And the whole time I was wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu, I knew it was for MMA.
And so let me ask you this, right? Shinigami's last fight, right? He won via, it wasn't submission, was it, Shinigami?
Yes,
it was.
Americana.
Yep, there he goes. And so So his grappling skills were on display in his last fight. And so what were your thoughts on that?
It was impressive. Definitely similar style I like to play. Heavyweight jiu-jitsu players love their Americanos and Kimuras. So, yeah, I respect it. He looked good. It was good. It was good. He's got good – I don't want to be underneath him. I know that. That's not fun. I don't plan on being underneath him. If I do, I know I got to get out. And I think he probably feels the same way.
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah. It's definitely not where we want the fight to go, either of us being on our back. But I know we're both preparing for that as well. So it's exciting.
And I know you've been preparing your stand-up game. So Shinigami, from what you've seen, I mean, a lot of his fights end up on the ground pretty quickly, but there have been a few times where you got to see him actually strike. And so what are your impressions around his striking ability?
He has his more boxing style. So I've definitely been preparing for that for sure. I'm not going to give away the game plan. He'll find out when we're in there. But I kind of feel like just my natural skill set as it is a good counter for that in general. Since it's a lot of I'm more used to hands and feet. As far as my attacks go, standing up. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that.
How do you think you're going to be able to handle that? Yeah. How do you think you're going to be able to handle that?
Oh, very well. Yeah, I'm excited. I want all the work. Hands, feet, knees, have somebody else jump in there. Whatever y'all can throw at me. Let's go. Let's see what happens.
All right. And so what is the outcome? I know both of you are very confident that you're going to win, right? And you should be confident. I mean, if any fighter goes into a fight feeling like he's going to lose, it's clear that the outcome has already been set before the fight has begun. But how do you win this fight? And you don't have to tell us or detail your game plan, but can we get like a round? Can we get how is this all going to play out?
You want to go first, Shinny?
You go ahead, man. I feel like I hog the mic a little more.
I feel like my answer, like the kindness of it depends on how you answer it. But let's see. So I feel like I will be able to finish the fight within the first 2 rounds. That's how I would like to word that.
Okay. All right. So I feel like it's going to go one of 2 ways. It's either going to end in the first round. I'm gonna end it in the first round, or I'm gonna drag it out past 2 rounds because I've never seen him go past 2 rounds. So we'll see what happens.
I like that. I've never
entirely
seen
on the openings I get.
That's a good prediction. That's a good way to look at it, Shinny. I like it. I'd like to see myself go past 2 rounds as well. I'm curious. You learn a lot about yourself in that 3rd round, don't you?
You really do.
Yeah, I'd like to.
But first round? Oh, man. He gave you the first round. How do you feel about being he's predicting the outcome that ends in the first round? I mean, the 3rd round seems like, that would be interesting to see both of y'all actually go the distance. And Shinigami's already gone the distance. But yes, the unknown is with you, Big Smile. Can you actually get into the 3rd round? No one has actually be able to push you to the 3rd round, but it'd be curious to see what you look like in the 3rd round. However, he did predict that it might end in the 1st round. And how do you feel about that?
I like that. That's fun. That's going to keep me on my toes, right? I have to respect this man. He can put people away. So I have to know that it's a possibility. But the way I look at fighting, I can finish anyone in the world. But if I do something wrong, I can get finished as well, right? So you have to show up to fight. You can't slip up. So, yeah, I respect it. I'm sure he hopes he finishes in the 1st round. I'm sure that would be a lot easier. I agree. I'd love to finish in the 1st round too. Have some energy to celebrate. Let's go.
Yeah, 1st round finishes make for great viral videos, don't they?
Yes, sir. You've shown that.
Uh-oh. So here's the thing, right? Because it seems like this fight is much bigger than both of you. At this point, I mean, for a very long time, right, the East Coast branch, the OG Yard, has been kind of the branch that everyone is looking at. You say, okay, they got the top tier fighters there. But now, when you look at all the different branches, they're developing their own talent. It gets to a point now, it's becoming really spicy, right? Where branches are feeling like we're better, or we have better fighters in this branch than we have the other. And so it seems like this is a clash not only between two heavyweight giants, but it's a clash between the West Coast group versus the East Coast group. What are your thoughts on that?
There's definitely only one Street Beefs, but I think you're right. I mean, we're a tribalistic species by nature, so I think it's definitely kind of once it comes down to, like, it's actually kind of funny watching how this is going down, because before this fight, it was everyone was putting a target on my back, and now everyone on the West Coast is like, go get him, Shinny. It's wild, man. It's absolutely wild. You know, there's still some talk about after this fight when I come back, you know, with the dub, who do I fight? You know, it's nice to see that faith from the rest of the branch, especially since, like I said, you know, just a month and a half ago, everyone was like, man, I want a shot at Shinny next, like foaming at the mouth.
How do you feel about the kind of coastal tension, Big Smile?
I like it. It's kind of like a Biggie, Tupac type thing. It's nice to have, there's the support, but then there's also the pressure on your back, which is a great feeling. I don't know why. It's good to have the lights on you. You shine brighter when the lights are on you, right? At least I think so. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and also when this fight was first announced, this is the first time I seen Shinigami be an underdog. Like, it was clear that people were saying that you had this in the bag. Right, it was across, except for the West Coast branch. I feel like the West Coast branch is like, no, we sticking behind Shinigami. We got this. But all the other branches, especially a lot of the conversations that were generated, whether that was in small groups or even larger posts, whenever you were posting about this fight, people felt like you were going to win this. And so Shinigami, like, how do you feel coming into this, kind of like the underdog into this fight?
Motivated, dude. I've been dealing with doubters my entire life. And it's just another group of people to prove wrong, man. That's all it is for me.
And then Big Smile, does that give you a boost of confidence knowing that people actually believe that you're going to be the one who topples them?
Yeah, you know, it definitely gives me some confidence, but, you know, it only goes so far, right? I still have to do my job. I'm already confident before anyone says anything else. And, you know, a lot of the people supporting me are my supporters. Let's be honest. And, like, you know, Shinny's still getting a lot of attention, you know, going on Pat McAfee. Like, he's killing it. A lot of people have confidence in him. So I'm not letting myself get a big head. I'm not going to, you know, stop training. Like, it's like people are like, oh, he's just a big guy in a karate suit. No, he's a trained fighter that has a cool outfit. Like, it's a lot more than just his outfit. So I'm taking him seriously. I'm excited to fight him. I could never not take him seriously since he's one of the first people I wanted to fight when I watched Street Beefs. I was like, oh, there it is.
And would you ever consider going to the West Coast and fighting some other heavyweights as well?
Yeah, you know, even depending on how this match ends. You know, knock on wood, but, you know, what if I win by cut? He came out here. I would go out there for a rematch. You know, if he got cut or something like that, some freak accident, you know, it's a short bout. We don't really see enough. I'll go over there for a rematch. Me and my wife could use a vacation. You know, let's go.
And then Shinigami, is Big Smile the only heavyweight that you're willing to face out in the OG yard? Are there any other heavyweights that potentially might get that work?
For sure. I've always wanted to fight Striking Viking. And White Dragon has my attention. That dude looks like it'd be a good style matchup in the opposite direction of this one. You know, like me and Big Smile are a good style matchup, not just because we're both champs of our branches, but because, like I mentioned before, he's kind of got that more like westernized boxing wrestling combo, and I got the more karate jiu-jitsu, more Easternish, you know, since Brazilian jiu-jitsu is just a descendant of judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu. it's definitely that style matchup where then, you know, me and White Dragon have very similar, different styles of karate, but we both have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the karate, you know, so that would be a fun, you know, fight to watch too, I think, and it'll be a fun fight to do.
All right, awesome. Well, here's an opportunity to face off, to tell each other, I mean, your last part, your comments to each other, or what you want to say to your opponent before you actually see them in the physical form.
You know what? I feel ready. I've trained hard. I've taken you super serious. I've been laser focused on this, and you know, well, I'm willing to leave it all in the cage, man. Just good fight between two big warriors, and I'm gonna let my skills do all the real talking.
I appreciate that, Shinny. You know, you've kept it respectful. I'm gonna keep it respectful too. You know, we both know the outcomes we want to happen, we believe will happen, and you know what I think will happen. But you know, until then, travel safe. You know, don't stub your toes at the airport. Be extra careful. You know, arrive here safe, and then we can worry about the injuries and whatnot, and then we can really go all out. So get here safe. Let's throw it down. Let's go. All smiles, all peace.
Us.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Look forward to the fight, gentlemen. Good luck.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Of course. Looking forward to it. What's up, y'all? So, I don't know. Are y'all excited like I'm excited? Like, to me, like I'm looking forward to not only this fight, but all the other fights that come after it, right? And so we know that, you know, like I said at the top of the hour, is that there's going to be a lightweight tournament, right? A lightweight tournament to see who is crowned the champion. And I will admit, I think it's going to be really hard to live up to the shoes that Reckless Rico left, right? The imprint that he left in the yard. But before we actually kind of ponder on that, we actually have him as a guest. So let's bring on Reckless Rico to talk about his transition, but also what his thoughts are about the tournament. Uh-oh. What's up, champ? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Just blessed, man. How you guys doing? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, man. How's everything in Milwaukee, brother?
Man, love it out here, man. I mean, the weather, it was a little bit cold and rough when we was first getting out here, but it's starting to warm up. Snow starting to melt, and training is good, man. Got a phenomenal training partners. You know, the area, we got all the superstars there, guys, former champions, world champions. So just constantly grinding and getting ready for the pro debut. I'm excited.
Awesome. And so what is it like training with other, I mean, it's clear, right? Other professional fighters, but also like a superstar fighter, right? We have superstar tandem and a superstar coach. So what is that like?
I mean, I think the first week was there. I was there. It was kind of surreal because, like, you watch these guys on UFC, you see them in the corner on, like, when the camera pans to them, and you're just like, oh, crap, this is Duke Rufus, or this is Anthony Pettis, or this is Macy Barber. But after a while, you got to, you know, you kind of, like, have to get out of that mindset. Like, you know, you have to understand, yeah, they are celebrities and famous or whatnot, but, like, they're regular people just like you. They started the same way like you know, poor, didn't have nothing. Now they make it something from themselves, and that's very motivating and inspiring, and I can't wait to be in those same shoes, and if not better.
Yeah, and I saw that Ben Askren was there as well.
Yeah,
it looks like he's sharpening up his skills for his fight.
Heck yeah, man. Ben's a killer.
And so did you get to grapple with him?
Unfortunately, I did not get to grapple with him. Man, I was on like a busy schedule getting ready for Jake. Yeah, I lucked out.
Rico, while we have you here, man, two things. I don't know if you know, we have a show. We're on Twitch where we, you know, argue over top 5 anime and stuff. I really think you would enjoy it. It's on our Twitch. We had Shinigami, Darkness, Scarecrow, and Black Mamba on the show yesterday. Check us out. Follow us on Twitch, heart_in_the_fight. But I want to just like get your perspective on what just happened, because that was really intense. So, we had Shinigami, we had Big Smile. Like, what are some impressions that you took away from that face off?
Yeah, I mean, both those guys, watching Shinigami and watching Big Smile, neither one of them like broke. None of them gave up that telltale that there was like nerves or anything like that. I think it's gonna be a tremendous fight, and I can't wait for that to happen and go down March 6th, man. Like, if you want to talk about the next biggest fight, the biggest fight for 2021, it's Shinigami and Big Smile, man. I don't know any other fight that's gonna be this huge for Street Beefs this year.
And so, who do you think are the favorites in this tournament? Right, when we look at the lightweight tournament, some of the guys you fought already, right? And so there are some folks like Beach. I don't know if you know who all the fighters in the tournament, but so we have Beach, we have Stumble Rice, we have is it Menace Mike? Menace Mike is in there.
Okay.
And so, what are your thoughts going into the tournament that they're going to actually have a tournament? The fascinating thing is that's how you won the belt, right? Is that you won the tournament, and so now they created the tournament for other people to win it. And so, what is that like fighting in a tournament? And then, who do you think will come on top of this tournament?
Yeah, so my experience with fighting in the tournament, it was very cool, but very fortunate, because at the time of the tournament, I was supposed to fight, I believe, 3 times for the belt, and at the time I only had 1 fight in. But I got lucky to where the other guys, they didn't show up for whatever reason. So I just had to fight 1 time for the belt. So the fact that all these studs and all these savages are going to be there, and they're probably going to have like 2 or 3 fights fighting for the belt, it'll be really great. And then as far as like all the fighters, I mean, the division is stacked more so now. You got the Beaches, you got the Slumber Rices, you got the Daddy the Punchers, the Menace Mikes, and then you even got like the dark horses of the division, like Kushido Shadow and all those other like young rising guys coming up in the division.
Yeah, and also I think Chauncey's going to be fighting in the tournament. They also have Bermuda fighting in the tournament. And so, I mean, if you had to guess who the top 2 are going to end up out of this tournament, who would you think will be who will be sitting at the top fighting for the actual belt?
I would say at the end of the tournament, if I had to pick the final finale, who's fighting for the belt, I'd say Beach, and I would say Menace Mike.
And then who do you think wins that?
Oh, man, it's tough to say. I mean, I think I fought everybody but Menace Mike, and I got to actually meet Menace Mike in person, and then I met him during my very first fight. I got to watch his fight. He fought Chauncey, and they fought a really good fight. But the skill set is very similar, I believe. I believe Menace Mike is a little bit more technical. But I think in that fight, I feel like with Beach's tenacity, and then he got that chip on his shoulder, after his last fight, so he's coming back with a bench. And I feel like Beach should edge it out.
Okay, and so I know that we have Scarface just joined the show, so if we can, I would love to have Scarface kind of join in on this conversation just about the creation of this tournament. Why was it necessary to create it? And then what are some of the goals? How does he think this is all going to play out in the end? I think he just dropped out. His internet just dropped out. So I think he's back on. There we go. Hey, Scarface, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. My apologies. My phone keeps blowing up.
Yeah, no worries.
Man, the legend, Scarface.
Rico, what's up, my brother? How are you?
Man, good. Can't complain.
Good to see you on the show. Yeah, I apologize, guys. I had meant to come back on earlier. It's been hectic. The more Streetbeefs gains traction, the more I don't have a minute to breathe.
Word. And the brand just continues to build. It just seems like it never stops building. Seems like it continues to grab new wind. It continues to be more viral every single time you turn around. And so how do you feel about that, Scarface?
I love it, man. I mean, in the end, that wasn't my original goal, but I realized as time went by that that's a good thing for the fighters. I realized that we had gotten to a point where it wasn't just about solving beefs anymore. It was about the club atmosphere, and it was about opportunities for these young men and women. And, for me, going out and promoting it and establishing opportunities and making connections that can help young men and women get to the next level is what's important. So I've been really trying to put effort into that and making these connections with different organizations and different people. And it takes work, man, but it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we'll certainly dive deeper into some of the
I can't hear
ongoing
him. I can't hear
advancements.
Daniel.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Yes. All right. No?
I can.
Scarface, can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Okay. It might be on your Rico. And so I would say, like, we'll certainly have more just to talk about
I
some
see
of
his
the
lips moving, but I can't hear nothing.
some of the advancements of Street Beefs. And so, like, I know that it seems like you're putting out a video every week, man. Every week of the new things that are happening. And so I would love to get your thoughts on a number of things, if you don't mind. And so one, let's talk about this lightweight tournament, right? And so I know that Rico was a champion for many, many fights. And he pretty much cleared out most of the division right before he left. And so he left some really huge shoes to kind of fill for any fighter at this point. And so why do you think it was necessary to create a tournament instead of just passing it on to the number 2 guy? Hey, Scarface. I think you're muted. You might be muted on your end.
Huh.
There you go.
I keep holding it. Okay. My apology. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just wasn't sure if it was on my end.
No, sorry about that. This freaking microphone port. So, do I need to say everything over?
Unfortunately so, man. Unfortunately so. I was trying to figure all the technical ends on my end. Sorry about that.
That's okay. My apologies. So, to repeat, guys, sorry about that. I felt like it wasn't good to just hand the belt over to somebody because Rico had dominated so thoroughly the whole time he had the belt. And I had considered handing it back to Beach because Beach was the one that held it before Rico came. And in fairness, Beach never lost the belt to Rico. What happened was Beach had stepped down due to personal issues. He was going through some things. But Beach came back to try to take the belt and wasn't able to do so. So therefore, I felt like it wasn't good to just hand it back to Beach. Instead, I needed to make a tournament and let those guys fight it out and see who was worthy of the belt. I will say this, and respect Rico's opinion, but Turk has entered the tournament. And in my mind right now, Turk's got to be the favorite for the belt. Turk's skill, him and Beach fought before, and it was a very good fight. But Turk's skill has just improved dramatically since then. I know a lot of people are going to think that I'm just saying this because he trains in our camp, but I've seen him fight several of these guys. I've trained with him personally, and he's a savage. Turk's a savage. So to me, he's going to be the one that's tough to get out of there. Personally.
No, I certainly agree with that. I mean, Turk is I think is a monster. I think in any division. I mean, he has dynamite in his hands, and so you can never fully count him out. Right? And so to me, when I saw him fight Baby Hawk, I thought it was a good game plan on Baby Hawk to keep him down because at any point he has proven at any point in the fight he can turn your lights out.
Yeah, and I want to take this opportunity since you mentioned Baby Hawk. Baby Hawk and me have been talking today, and he's doing one more fight with Street Beefs as well before he pursues the next level. And we decided that last fight should be with Beach. I haven't spoken with Beach yet. Hopefully Beach is watching, but I'm going to reach out to Beach as well and see what his thoughts are. So that would be, and in early summer, Beach, if you're watching. I know you're always down for a fight. That's a big one. So let us know what you think.
Well, you heard it here first, right? This is exclusive. That's awesome. Thanks for dropping the news.
That'd be huge.
Yeah, that's I mean, Baby Hulk had his choice. You know, he had his choice of different fighters, and me and him kind of hashed it out. And we both decided that in the absence of Rico, I mean, if Rico had still been around, I would have wanted Baby Hulk Rico. But Rico's not around. So the next logical one is Beach. And I think that'll be a great one for the fans.
All right. And so now that you heard the Turks in the tournament, Rico, I mean, what are your thoughts? Is it still going to be Menace Mike and Beach, or will Turk topple that list?
I never fought Turk. He was one of the guys I really want to fight really bad because I feel like he's a great fighter within himself. I mean, dude has good striking, good cardio. He even showed good grappling. And seeing Turk in that tournament, I can't wait to see how he does. I mean, if they do like the Final Four, I see Turk being in that semifinals or that finals and in that fight as well. I would love to see a rematch with Turk and Beach for sure, or even Turk and Menace Mike. Whoever he goes against, I'll be ready to watch it.
And
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother.
I can't remember. I feel awful for about what I'm about to say, but I can't remember if Turk and Menace Mike actually fought. I don't think they ever did get to match up. But I think that would be a good one too at some point.
I agree. I think there's just so many killers in the lightweight division. I think every division just seems like it continues to be stacked, right? And so it continues to be the old guard that continues to show itself every single time why they are there. Then you also see a lot of young, hungry fighters who come into the yard, like wanting to take on all these OG fighters. And so it's a great mix to see some of the OG fighters, but also some of the young bloods come in there together and see who reigns supreme in this division.
Absolutely, man. It's getting stacked. It's getting so stacked that I made a post in the group the other day because I've had people like, dude, we're getting all these super talented people. Is it going to get to the point where we don't see everyday Joes in the yard anymore? And I wanted to make sure that people understood that day's never going to come. I won't let it happen. You know, there's always going to be a place for everybody. If you come and say, man, I've never fought before, I just want to experience a fight, I'm going to find you a fight. You know, it's not going to be you getting fed to a shark. You know, we'll make sure there's always room for everybody. So, but yes, it's getting outrageously stacked.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of, even all the other branches, it just seems like every division is getting stacked. And so at one point, like the Shinigamis versus Big Smile are going to happen across branches, right? I think it's inevitable at this point because it just seems like each branch, it continues to develop their talent, and then their talent is like taking it to the next level. So I'm excited for a lot more kind of cross-promotional, cross-fighting that happens in the future.
Yeah, I felt like I had to do the Big Smile versus Shinigami just because the West Coast, man, those guys have worked really hard and they've done really well with just carrying on the theme of street beefs, the tradition, and they've established some dudes out there that I think are going to be good for street beefs, and Shinigami's one of them. Shinigami's he's really established himself. He's got a lot of people looking at him, so I wanted to bring him to the main yard and see how he holds up. I think he'll do well.
Yeah, I agree. And so, I mean, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to cover this. And so I definitely got some Street Beef specific questions for you, Scarface. So I just want to thank Reckless Rico for coming on, brother. We appreciate it, and continue to to progress in your career, and then let us know how things are going and the ways that we can support you as you advance your pro career.
Thank you guys so much, man. It's always an honor to talk to you guys and just to be a part of what you guys got going on. And like I always said, you know, like I'll never forget the very first time I met Scarface. I go up to his house and me and my were just like, that's a dude from Streetbeefs. And then he just like, I remember Scarface saying, "What's up, fellas? Come on back." I'm like, oh.
Hey, Rico, listen, brother, don't let nobody fool you. You helped establish us at the next level of skill, man. You and your brother Memnon, we appreciate y'all as well. You know, you guys came and showed that there's all levels of guys coming here, you know. So it was, to me, there was before Rico and Memnon and after. And that's really a big deal. So we're excited to see where your career goes. I'm hoping to see you guys in the UFC soon.
Thank you so much, brother. It's truly been an honor, and thank you for everything.
You're welcome, man. Hit me up. You got the number.
Yes, sir.
Peace, brother.
All right, Scarface. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to address here. I think one, like when you look at the YouTube comments, you certainly see tons of complaints, right? And I think you said it over and over and over, like, hey, they're not supporters, they're just haters, right? They're going to continue to hate on us. Don't mind them. And so it seems like, I mean, one of the major complaints they make is around like the conditions of the cage, right? The ways that the cage, I mean, for them, they have an issue with it. They want it to be more like a pro style cage. And so I'm curious, like, why is it important to keep it the ways that you've had it for so long, right? To involve a lot of the outside elements into a fight.
So, you know, I want to address a couple things you said. First, it's sad, man. You know, when I first started the YouTube channel, I interacted very, very closely with the commenters and the fans. I was able to, because it wasn't as big. So I was able to basically see every comment the channel got. Obviously now with our size, that's impossible. You know, you just can't keep up with all the comments. But back then, you know, we would get a lot of supporters who obviously loved Street Beefs and loved what we were about, and then a few trolls. Now it's gotten to this point, and I always use this term. I like to think I created this term, I may be wrong, of MMA snobbery. And what it is these people that come along, they think that, you know, Street Beefs is supposed to be the next big MMA organization. And they compare us to other MMA organizations, and they think that our evolution should be along that path. Not realizing that from day one, I determined that that's not the path that I wanted us to go. For the ring in the cage, I'll say this, and I made a video on this as well. We have the opportunity right now to go buy a pro style cage if we wanted to. We also have a pretty nice cage at Neutral Corner that I own, that I could bring out into the yard if I so chose. But in the end, that's not Street Beefs. And if we do that, if we go that route, we've just became every other MMA org on earth. We're no longer unique, you know. Some people have commented and replied to what I just said and said, well, you know, but you got to look out for the safety of the fighters. I agree. I do agree. And I believe I have. I went out and we addressed the issue of them slipping. Our last two events with the cedar we laid down, it took care of it. Nobody was slipping anymore. And we believe that should be the only issue. But then we had people, oh, well, it don't look pretty. Look at the other branches. They look pretty. Well, that's not what it's about. It's not about looking pretty. It's about the fighters being safe and us being Street Beefs. And we're Street Beefs. So that's all we care about. The West Coast used a pro style cage at the last event. Unfortunately, me and Martin hadn't talked in depth before that. We talked after. And we've got the understanding that we won't use pro style cages because, again, that takes away from what we are, in my opinion. I know some people see it and they're like, oh, they got a pro cage now. That's awesome. Next there'll be an arena. But if you look at it objectively, think about that progression. Okay, we got a pro style cage. So what is next? Do we go inside next? Then what's next? Do we get sanctioned? Do we start selling tickets? What stops us from being just another AMI or pro promotion at that point? You know, I'm making an active choice to stay true to our roots. And I base that on all my years of experience. You know, anybody that's not in agreement with it, hey, your opinion's noted, as long as it's given respectfully. The problem with a lot of the comments is they're not given respectfully. That's why I don't value them.
No, I certainly hear that. And I would love for you to even talk about the sanction bouts, right? I know there was an introduction of potentially doing sanction bouts. And do you consider, if we do sanction bouts, will it be in those pro style cages, or will it continue just to be in the ways that they're outfitted now?
If we do the sanction bouts, it will be in professional style cages. Now, my idea, and I'm going to have to see where this goes, but my idea is to do sanction bouts in pro style cages, but outside. That's my idea. Now, I don't know if that's going to be an option all the time. Some of these sanctioning bodies may require that we're inside. I don't know, but that's my goal. Either way, I want to start the sanction branches to put Streetbeefs foot in the game there, and to give our fighters a direct pipeline to sanctioning bodies to where they can go and fight with Streetbeefs, but in a sanctioned way, and get it on their sanctioned record.
And does any of that have to do with the partnership with Bare Knuckle Fighting? I don't know if that, I mean, on my end, I don't fully understand the partnership. I understand where it could potentially go, but where does the partnership, I guess, land in this sanctioned body that we're creating in Streetbeefs, or that you're creating the Streetbeefs?
Us working with Bare Knuckle has no bearing on that at all. That's still a work in progress, to be honest with you. It just strictly is something that me and Esteban and a few other guys worked on and came up with, and decided that it needs to happen. We need to try to get our foot in the sanction game. And to me, it was a natural progression of things. But what I didn't want was for us to progress to being sanctioned and lose what we've done in the backyard. So I feel like there needs to be two separate arms of Streetbeefs: the backyard arm and the sanctioned arm.
Okay, and so is that what creating kind of leadership groups that are managing that process? Because I know that you've also made that announcement as well, is that you're going to be kind of distributing some of the power decision making among some core groups of Streetbeefs to ensure that it seems like to operate on those levels. Is that right?
It is. I'm giving some more power to a group that I've put together, mainly to take some of the stress off of me. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, man. So often fighters and organizations and groups come to me, and it puts a lot of pressure on me to make all of these decisions. Aside from that, I want to know that I'm making the right decisions. So I feel like, you know, putting several heads together in a room to make a decision is a smart way to go, in my opinion. So that's what I'm doing. I still have ultimate veto power, but most of the time I will not use it.
And it also seems like there's a concerted effort to also clean up some of the kind of negative and disparaging comments that are happening within the Facebook groups. And so, yeah, tell us a little bit about that effort.
Not so much Facebook. Well, the Facebook group we've clamped down on from day one, but it's much smaller. It's only 30,000 members. YouTube is where we've sent our mods. I'm just going to tell you, it's on me. About 5 years ago, we had started to really get traction after our New York Times piece. And I felt like, it was too difficult to keep up with all those comments. But B, I took on the mindset, well, maybe just let them comment what they want. And I did that for all these years. Well, over that time period, I had so many fighters come to me and say, man, I don't even like reading the comments on my fights anymore. It's just ridiculous. They're just nonstop. And I heard it over and over again. Other people came to me, can you do something about these comments on my fight? I mean, it's outrageous. And I would get sent screenshots and it was outrageous. Like, listen, it's not just me thinking that it needs to be cleaned up. I researched this, and there's a lot of articles from YouTube experts and YouTube professionals saying, look, you got to keep your comment section at least halfway under control, because it can hurt your org, it can hurt your channel, it can hurt your brand by letting people just run wild. And you know, trolls will take over. They will literally take over. And that's what was starting to happen. It had gotten to this point where the inmates ran the asylum, you know. But I put together a good team of moderators and told them just go to work, you know. Anything that's considered just outright disrespectful needs to go. And I had a few people say, well, man, you know, so what, are you going to just ban anybody that disagrees? No. You can disagree, but you gentlemen are intelligent. You know there's a way to disagree respectfully, okay? Right. You do not have to be a jerk or just outright disrespectful to voice your disagreement. You don't need to do that. And that's the problem we run into. All the disagreements that we were seeing were just insulting, cursing, name calling. And look, I thought we grew out of that in grade school. So that's why we had to clamp down on it. I think my mods are doing a great job. Shout out to my moderators. I think it's went well. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think we're on the right path now.
No, I agree. I certainly have seen that. I've seen that process kind of play out, where I've seen mods really step in and say, hey, that was inappropriate. The next time you will be banned. Or if it's just like overly insensitive, it's like, all right, you're out of here. We don't need that energy in the group, especially on the YouTube pages where people, you know, people can read it. Even fighters can read it, right? You can only imagine as a fighter, you train, you put all your sweat and blood into this fight, and then you go in a comment, someone's calling you trash or someone's calling you a bum. You're like, what the heck?
And look, they don't just do it to, you know, so-called mediocre or low-level fighters. I've seen them dog every fighter we've got, okay? And that's when you know that it's ridiculous. When they're dogging guys that have pro-level potential, it's out of control, you know? And again, I've had other YouTubers come to me like, dude, you need to get your comment section under control. I mean, they are out of there. So I think we did. I think we've done a better job with it, I hope.
No, you have. No, I agree. And so good on you for doing that and really setting the tone that this is not going to be tolerated, that this is a group about respect, making sure that we're encouraging each other, because it's not easy to fight, right? You have to you have to face your own demons. You have to kind of confront yourself going into that cage. And so like you, I think it's really important to really motivate, give them inspirational words so that they can continue to come back and face those demons every single time.
I agree. I'll say this last thing. I really believe that it's great for these young fighters. You know, it gives them something to work for. I've seen so many people in our group and org get in shape just by being a part of Streetbeefs. They work because they want to keep up with the other guys in the group. And that's not, competition's not a bad thing if it's in the right setting. And I've just seen young men and women get in shape, lose weight, get healthy, and build self-confidence with this. And I'm not going to let a bunch of faceless people on the internet destroy that. So that's Absolutely. It.
All right. And so I have two last questions for you.
Sure.
And so one question that continues to show up and resurface is, well, Streetbeefs is in Washington. It's in LA, in Arizona. It's in Vegas, but also it's in Virginia. Why can't we have it in our state? And so you can name, I feel like there's been a comment for every single state, right? Like, you should have it in my state. Why isn't that possible? Can you tell us why?
So there's a lot of reasons. The first one is some states won't allow it. We'll start there. It depends on what state we're talking about. There's some states that outright, backyard fighting will get you put in jail. So that's the first thing. Now, it's not a lot of states that are like that, but there is some. There's other states where it's not necessarily illegal, but it's still very tricky. Then the bigger issue for me is I'm not just going to let anybody use the Street Beefs name and start an organization. And the reason is it needs to be done properly. I can't just let somebody out in freaking New Mexico throw together a Street Beefs haphazardly because they want to get some YouTube views, and end up somebody dies or somebody gets hurt real bad or somebody goes to jail. There's just so many things that could go wrong. There was a fight club actually that we had a beef with some years back from New York. And they were trying to connect with us and collab with us. And we almost did, but it fell apart at the last minute. Well, they were doing these shows up in New York, and I had tried to tell them, dude, I think that New York has some laws against what you're doing. And they didn't hear me. Well, you're doing it right out in the open. Yeah, I'm in Virginia. Well, they got busted about 3 months ago. It was big news. It was on TMZ and everything. So they got arrested for this, unfortunately, which I don't take pride in that. I don't want to see anybody get arrested. I don't think you necessarily should get arrested for backyard fighting, but if it's against the laws in your state, don't do it. So they actually had to take themselves to Florida. So that's just an example. There's a lot of things that I consider before I say, yeah, go ahead and start a Streetbeefs branch. And even now with our branches that we do have, there's still ups and downs and times where, I got to reach out to the branches and say, look, we got to do this or we got to do that. I say to people, if I approve you for a Streetbeefs branch, it's no different than if you get a Subway franchise. You can't change the name and change all the sandwiches you make. And, it's still a part of Subway. And if you start a Streetbeefs branch, it's still a part of Streetbeefs. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Shout out to the branches we do have. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you're seeing any of the comments, but the comments are hilarious. And so,
I'm not.
Some of the comments are, this is a better, we're doing better covers than ESPN. One of the, another one was, I don't know if you're familiar with Arrow Hawani. It's kind of MMA.
Yes.
And so, there you go. So people are matching me up with him.
Oh, yeah. Do it, brother. Working.
And then I also saw another comment was like, well, is it possible that any the MMA, the heavyweights in the OG yard will make a trip to the other branches?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got some guys actually, for one, we're traveling out to the West Coast in April. Myself, Corey, Esteban, and a few other guys. And we'll be fighting there as well. So yeah, we're definitely going to do that. And aside from that, there's other guys that have asked about going out there. Yeah, so it's going down. Definitely.
I think this comment is from Animal. Animal, please confirm. But he said he wants to take on the winner of Shinigami and Big Smile. He was like, bring them to Scrapyard.
Oh, okay. That must be the Animal from Scrapyard. Okay, yeah. Most definitely, man. We're definitely going to be trying to set up as many of these inter-conference, inter-branch fights as we can. So definitely, man, it's going to be in the works.
Yeah, I think you certainly, if you do that, I think the excitement is going to go through the roof, right? We're talking about people traveling, because you already got people traveling to the OG yard, but it's different when they're representing a whole different branch, right? And so I feel like there's another weight to it. So when we're in, especially when you're in all the different individual Facebook groups, you can see the tension. Like people want to prove, especially some of the younger groups, they want to prove to the OG branch that, hey, we're just as good as y'all. We stack up. And so let's figure out a meeting that we can do that. And so I look forward to it if that certainly becomes a possibility.
Hey, so Big Smile is asking you, Scarface. He like, look, who you think winning Big Smile Shinigami? What's your prediction?
I hate giving predictions. I hate it because it disparages one fighter and goes to another. But I actually talked about it this week. And people are going to think that it's just because Smile's from the OG yard. It's not. I love Shinigami. I do think it'll be a good fight. I think Smile's going to be a bit much for him on the ground, personally. Now, I think in the stand-up, it may be a little closer. Shinigami's pretty well versed standing up. But, I've got Big Smile as a slight favorite here. But again, the two big, strong guys. And one thing about the heavyweight division is one shot can end it. One shot can end it. They're big and strong. It's no offense to the lightweights. This is why all my favorite fighters are heavyweights. Because the heavyweights just have that power. They can end it at any time. And I love that aspect of their game. But yeah, I think on the ground, maybe Big Smile's a bit too much. So good luck to Shinigami, though.
No, it's certainly going to be a fight, man. I'm glad that you were able to make it possible for Shinigami to travel out there and to represent the West Coast, but also to test, right? To test the legend of Shinigami, right? Because if he wins, it only gets bigger.
That's right. Listen, that's why if I thought he didn't have any chance, I wouldn't be paying for his plane ticket. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to just waste the money. I think he does have a chance. And I think that he can do a good job and make it a great fight. And that's what we want to see. I only give predictions with the assumption that you're putting my back against the wall. So that's what I'm saying. If you put my back against the wall, I'll pick Big Smile. But I think it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so last question from me, and just a little bit of clarity, right, around pros and street beefs. I know that depending on the state, it changes, and so what is the actual through line with that? Like, can pros actually fight in street beefs? From what I've heard someone argue was that if they're a pro as a boxer, they can fight in MMA as an amateur. I mean, I just don't know, like the exact laws around. Okay.
That's correct. What you just said is correct. They're pro in MMA, they can come do AMI boxing. They're pro in boxing, they can come do AMI MMA, and vice versa. Depending on the scenario, if they haven't fought for several years and they've given up their pro card, et cetera, then there's other considerations. Each situation is very unique, and I would say to the fighters, reach out to me and talk to me and tell me your situation and what you're looking to do. And in the end, we also allow hard sparring. So we had a guy named A-Train that came to the yard. He didn't get a fight per se, but he got to hard spar with several of the guys, and we posted that on YouTube. So there's still ways for you to at least get the feel of the yard.
And so I think Fiji is just wants some clarification, and we might have to get Tiny Tank and all the other branch leaders. But he's saying, is that different for every branch, or is it the same policy?
No, the same rule applies. Listen, if there's a big rule for the main branch, it goes across the branches. That's one of the requirements. When I talk to each of these guys about starting a Streetbeefs branch and putting that's the thing. They're using the Streetbeefs name, and what they do can therefore affect us, period. I'll give you an example. and I'm not going to name the branch because it doesn't matter. They didn't do anything wrong, but something went on with the branch that's clear on the other side. We have 2 of them, so you do your guessing. I got a call from a fight commission clear out there saying, hey, one of your branches out here, blah, blah, blah. They didn't call the guys running the branch. No, they called me. So that's why I explained that it's so important for me to make sure the branches are running things the right way, because if something goes wrong, it's coming back on the main branch. It's coming back on me. So we make sure that it's ran appropriately and kind of under an umbrella. And the guys at Westcoast and Scrapyard have done a fantastic job doing just that. You know, they always reach out and ask questions and make sure we're all on the same page. So I'm happy with it.
All right, awesome. Thank you for the clarification on that. And then, I mean, one last thing. This is always funny to me is that you always talk about your 0-39 fight record, but then there's like this video that resurfaces of you knocking out someone else, and so I'm like, why go with that narrative, knowing that there are fights of you putting hands and putting work on people?
Well, so look, man. What happened was this, and I'll break it down for the show real quick. So back in the day when we were shooting our vids, we had a bunch that we were storing on a hard drive, and we had this idea that we were going to make a Street Beefs DVD and sell it. That tells you how old Street Beefs is. This is back when DVDs were still a big thing. So some of my fights and Richard Vandal's fights and a bunch of other guys' fights were kept on the DVD and ended up getting lost. Fast forward, we got onto this more modern time of Street Beefs where I fought White Dragon, and my record was announced, and at that time I was undefeated. I had won 16 fights. I had won 12 of them by knockout. Now, I still had a bunch of the wins on camera. Some of them were lost, okay? We only had little highlight clips of it. So after I lost the White Dragon, which, shout out to him, good win. I came out, fought like crap. A bunch of people began to question, there's no way that guy's won 16 fights. It's impossible. Look how he fought. So I was like, you know what, dude, I haven't won any fights, and I just basically started poking at him. Because to me, I don't fight consistently anymore. I'm not going after a belt. So what's it matter? I fight because I like to fight. So you'll see me every few months grab a boxing match just to fight. But I don't care about my record. So I kind of just do it to troll the trolls. But yeah, I've had people come back and like, dude, there's a video of you knocking somebody out, but you said you're 0-39. So I just tell them I was disqualified. But no, that's the story basically.
Well, awesome. Well, you certainly, if you out there, you certainly don't want to fight this man, right? So I appreciate your time, brother, man. I appreciate everything that you were able to clarify on our channel, on this live stream, so that hopefully people don't have more of these questions. But inevitably, like as you saying, like people continue to ask the same questions over and over and over. So hopefully on this platform, we answer it all. And so if you ever have a question, just come back to this live stream. Scarface is answering all. So thank you, brother. We appreciate the time. And we look
and let me just,
I'm
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to thank you guys, man. What you're doing, you're giving the fighters a platform. You're really a great thing for Street Beefs. I definitely like to keep you guys exclusively working with us. So I love having you. You guys doing a great job, man.
Thank you, brother. I mean, that's a huge compliment, man. That's a huge compliment. And so we just want to thank you. And again, we love Street Beefs. We love what you created, what it represents. And so that's one of the major reasons why we actually just focus on Street Beefs. We could look at all the other MMA stuff, but to me, Street Beefs is home. It's where it is all the action, but this is also where the heart is, right? Like when you look at a Street Beefs, you see the heart of a person who's willing to overcome fear, who's willing to overcome all his challenges so that he can succeed in life. And I think you're a great representative of that, and the org is a great representative of that. And so thank you. We will continue to partner with you in the future, and we appreciate every opportunity given to us.
Hey, guys, you have a good night. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Dude. Hey, Daniel, can I take a moment to geek out a little bit?
Go ahead,
There's a matchup that just got confirmed. I don't know if it's confirmed or not. And it started in our chat. So somebody said Diesel versus Buddy V. And then Tiny Tank caught wind of it. And then Tiny Tank was like, yeah, we can make that happen. Buddy came through. And then now Buddy like, yeah, I want that. And now, and so
here it is.
Look, and that's why y'all gotta tune in. It's moments like this that just happen organically that you can't capture this. You know, you can't capture this.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, there's a number of exclusives that happened on the show just right now. So definitely, you're messing out if you're not tuning in.
Man, I mean, I don't know how else to illustrate it, but like magic is happening. We got Animal trying to fight some people. We got somebody, Fiji is trying to fight Pony Boy from Scrapyard. Like, this is the magic. You got to be here, and please let your peoples know to be here so that we can get the chat going. Savage, shout out to you. You're a comedian. Fiji, you're a comedian. Canadian, you're a comedian. But yeah, I just wanted to shout some people out in the chat. It's really some magic happening.
And not only that, is that Fiji and Savage, we would like to invite you to our Twitch channel so we can talk about comics. We can talk about, I mean, tell them, man.
Hey, Savage, Fiji, come through. So I'm gonna send y'all the dates for the next one, but we would love to have y'all on. You choose your I'll send you the information in a text. Be sure to look out for an Instagram message from me on from Heart in the Fight on Instagram. It's going to lay all of the schematics down, but we would love to have you on. And then if anybody else wants to join the Twitch show, so if you go to our Twitch channel now, the video should still be there from the tournament. You'll be able to access it, look at it, watch it. Please do so. But yeah, we'll love to have any fighters, any viewers, anybody who wants to be a part of it. Let us know. We'll get you a part of the magic.
And you get to challenge the champion at a later date. So, yep. And certainly take a look at who the champion is from our first show.
You got to figure that out. You got to watch it, y'all. You got to watch it.
All right. And so with that, if you like what you saw, like what you heard, please subscribe to the channel. If you look at everything at the bottom, right, those are all our channels except for the Twitch. We'll add that in a second. But certainly follow us there. And there's always opportunities to donate to our page. We have a Patreon. We'll also develop a Venmo and a Cash App where you can donate to the platform so we can make it grow, right? This is how we're able to expand it. It takes a little bit of resources. And so maybe you can join in on this community and help this expand. Like I said before, we are a team, we are a family, we represent Street Beefs. And so when you invest in us, we invest in you. It's a mutual exchange, y'all. All right. And so certainly make it rain a little bit, and we'll continue to make it rain on y'all. There you go. There you go, Tunde.
Give us some precipitation. We just want a little bit of precipitation.
Word. And so with that, the next time we see y'all, please take care. And we look forward to seeing y'all next. Until then, double down on your commitments to your own life. And